I can't say there's any complaints going on, that's for sure. We're at Wednesday. So Igor is actually on his path of success and working his leads here. We're really just doing some dials, helping him out. Do you have any real pain points in the system right now, Igor?
I've come to a point where I've got a pretty good handle on it, thanks to Crystal. She's been helpful with like setting the right filters and whatnot. But I guess I could probably clean up my nurturing process.
Okay.
And just the flow of conversation.
Fabulous. It's my new fave. Look at your phone, please, and give me a 4-digit number in your text.
Oh, actually?
You should have received a text message with a 4-digit code.
Oh yeah, it's 2610.
Fantastic. All right. Got that. Let's do that. Share my handy dandy screen. All righty. Can you see your site?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just want to make sure I shared the right screen so I have dual monitors. There's the wrong one. All right. So talk to me. What is going to be the absolute best benefit for you today? Do you want me to go in and try and find some leads left behind, or do you want to guide me?
Yeah, I think just do your thing. Sorry, if I knew I would have come up with a strategy. I just
No, we're better on the fly.
Okay,
Honestly.
good.
Totally
Good.
better
Yeah,
on the fly.
no, yeah. If you can dig something up, for sure. Sorry.
Even if you look at his save filters, the number 2 filter is people that he's yet to connect with that have been active within the last 30 days. Because he's getting on he's getting on in touch. So these are ones that he hasn't contacted, like some of them like within the last 2 days, that have been active that aren't his past clients, basically.
Like, I wanted to ask, what's out of, let's say, 100 contacts, what would be considered a decent rate of like appointment setting? Like, how many out of 100 should I be aiming to actually set an appointment?
Can of worms question, and here's why. It really all depends on the, I'm going to say, filter that you're calling. Okay. You can call 100 leads that just registered in the last 30 days and have one dynamic. You can call 100 leads that registered a year ago and have another dynamic. You can call 100 leads that have never been called and never logged in and have another dynamic. So it's all over the map. And what I really aim to achieve is how many conversations can you have out of 100 phone calls? And that dynamic does change as well. I just went in and I dialed 30 in another dashboard that had never had a phone call, and they registered 160 to 180 days ago. And I had probably 6 bad phone numbers. I had one that she's like, I'm not looking at all anymore. And then another one that said she was looking to rent for 1 more year, then she might be to purchase 2 years from now. So, and that was out of 30 dials. You never know what you're going to get, because some days you can sit down and you can make 100 dials and just get a bunch of shit. Other days you can sit down and you're like, I can't even get through 20 because everybody's answering the phone. And that's why it's so important to be consistent, because there's sometimes, and especially this time of year, because I dial hundreds of leads a day, literally. We're in about 12 different platforms that we're dialing in right now. And the common denominator right now is there's fewer people answering the phone right now. And I think it's just the season. because we are coming into holidays where, you know, it's just, there's a hustle and bustle right now and everybody just wants the end of the year to end.
Yeah.
It is
What,
a very different dynamic.
what market are you in?
I'm in Atlanta, but I have clients that we dial for and they're all over the United States. And I have one in Canada that we work with.
So you nurture leads for agents?
Yeah. Yeah. We dial and we nurture. And that's what, when you mentioned nurture, I said, you know, when I had scaled before, we were the first point of contact and handing it over. Well, we've re-looked at the value and the last 6 months, our conversations have become longer with people. People are looking to engage in longer conversations and give more details if they're truly in the market at any time in the future. So our phone calls have been longer and our nurtures have been through the roof because we took the heavy lifting off of the agents and said, okay, we're going to start nurturing. Because what was happening, the agents, we would have a great conversation. I would follow up. I would ask the agent to follow up with a lead and they'd say, I can't get a hold of them. They didn't answer the phone. So I would try and connect and they would answer the phone. So I don't know what the dynamic is. I don't know if it's just our mindset when we get on the phones and we just have no attachment to the outcome and we're just looking to make phone calls. We're just looking to have conversations. We're just looking to talk to people. Everybody answers the phone for us. And even the other day I was in doing nurtures and I had people calling me back. Like I would leave a voicemail and go, hey, I'm just checking in. I know, because one lady, her home got damaged in the hurricane. And she's like, I don't know if we're going to move. I don't know if we're going to fix up our home. She goes, I'm kind of in incognito. Left her a voicemail. And then I said, I'm going to call her back again on Friday. And that's the thing that a lot of agents don't have time with. And that's where the meat really is. I was just on a webinar with another team this afternoon, and he was talking about his listings. He went on an appointment that he got an appointment for a FSBO. And he went to the FSBO's open house. And the guy wasn't ready to talk to him, wasn't ready to sell, but he called him every 3-4 days. Hey, how's it going? If you had anybody through, if you had any offers yet, I wanted to help you through it. He called him like 3 or 4 times within 2 weeks. And a guy called him back and said, I'm ready to list your property. I'm ready to list my home with you.
Wow.
So the big piece that we leave on the table is after we have that initial conversation, we don't go back to have other conversations, because if you think about, I always say you need to be a little bit better than your competition. And the reality is it doesn't take much, because hardly anybody ever follows up after the first conversation. So if you're the one that's actually following up, what does it mean to you, Igor, if you're out and you give somebody a phone number and they're like, I'll check in with you in a week because you bought something from them. They're like, I'll check in with you in a week. You're probably like, yeah, right. You're not going to call me, right? But if they do call you and say, hey, I'm just checking out to see how that's working for you, it's impressive.
It is, yeah.
And it leaves an impression on their service. And that's the big, huge missing component that a lot of us are missing right now in real estate. I'm getting a lot more now, and that's what I love. I've been calling leads since 2008. So I'm not a stranger to watching the changes that happen while we're dialing and the conversations that we're having and the repetition, because I am dialing in multiple different states in multiple different platforms, not just AgentLocator. So I'm able to really get a good idea of common denominators. And a lot of common denominators right now are people are appearing to be a little bit more paranoid whenever we're calling. Like, how did you get my phone number? Why are you calling me? They don't really hear what you're saying when you first make that connection, because they're trying to figure out who you are so that they're not listening. So, hey, Kieran, I saw that you were online looking at some homes in Toronto. I don't know where you are, but, and she's like, who are you? How did you get my number? Like, she didn't even hear what I said. So I have a lot more of that now too. And I'm just writing a blog right now talking about the anatomy of a lead, because we really do have to go to them and say, hey, I saw you were online, or I saw you Google searched, or I saw you were on Facebook, because it takes out that question. I don't understand how people don't know that if they're online and they're putting information in, that they might get contacted. It's like 85%
kidding.
of these people are like, why are you calling me? It's so bizarrely weird. So that was a long, drawn out story, but much things to say. All right, so I pulled this list of 52. My question is, are you using the system to dial through? Because I'm seeing 0 calls.
I am.
Okay, so these are leads that, all right, well, these just popped in today, so I forgive you.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And yesterday, all right, I forgive you for the last 2 days. I'll let you off the hook. And these ones are, that one, I think there was one that didn't have the phone number wasn't long enough, like wasn't enough digits or whatever. So I don't mind going in here and doing this. Now, Crystal, let me just look real quick.
Yep.
Last activities, 30 days. What's their registration time frame? Or it doesn't.
They're all over the map.
Okay.
It's just as long. So some of them have just registered within the last 30 days. And some of them may be older leads that he's just never made contact with that have just happened to be active within the last 30 days as well.
And
so there is
not
no
a
registration.
said number of time frame that he hasn't contacted them, right?
So it's most of them, like they're falling because he hasn't reached out within the last 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit different than what my systems are. We used to dial 10 to 12 attempts in the first 14 days, and we've backed that down to 6 to 8 because what we've realized is the more aggressive we are with Google leads and Facebook leads, the quicker they're blocking our number. And you know it's blocked whenever it rings and then goes right to, and then it just ends. It just goes to voicemail. Like it's just,
Yeah.
if I can dial 50 leads in 15 minutes, I get a lot of blocks going on.
Yeah.
And that's called change your Twilio number. Change your number. That's the best way around that is, just changing that number if they've blocked. So I don't like to get too aggressive, especially if you have text messages going on, because now it's even easy to block. If you're sending text messages and you're calling from the same number, it's easy for them to block it. So it is much more difficult to get through now. So I have learned less is more, but consistency is still key. What I'm going to do real quick, because this is what always happens. Now, Igor, are you following the tags where when you have a conversation, if you're not setting a reminder, are you tagging them into a situation to be able to track?
Yeah, so we have a 1 week follow-up, 2 week follow-up, month, quarter, and half a year.
So what about tags? People that are divorcing, renting, just looking, has an agent, relocating, retiring?
Yeah, I have some of those, like
Okay.
just looking, or well, just looking. I'll probably put on like a really long-term touch base.
Okay.
And then like has agent, obviously I'll tag that, and then that'll drop them out.
Can I pull no tasks set, Crystal?
Pardon?
Can I pull a filter of no tasks set? Like I want like no tasks.
Just go like what's the middle option there?
Not started.
Task never created.
There we go. Okay, that's what I want.
Then you can.
That's a dead field. Now the other question is, can I have a filter? So this would be like, doesn't have a tag, right?
Yeah, so like it doesn't have any of the specified tags that you have. You have to select which tags you don't want them to have.
Okay, so do I have to literally go and pick every one of these one by one?
You would have to, if you don't want them to have any of the tags applied to them, then yeah.
So there's no way to pull leads that don't have a tag?
No.
Okay, well, I'm just going to do this then. I'm going to ask to put in a ticket for that because that's huge. That is where I find all the gold in every dashboard. Because what happens, we're out in the fly, right? We're out showing properties. We get a new lead that comes in, we have a conversation, and they move to contacted, and we don't do anything with them. and more leads are coming in, more appointments are being set, agents are getting busy, leads get lost in purgatory, where they're moved or contacted, but there's no tag on them denoting what their situation is to be able to find them. And you literally have to open them up one by one to look. So when I go in to clean up a dashboard, I go in and I say, show me the leads that don't have a task set, that were contacted, that were spoke to, and don't have a task set because there's nothing reminding you to call them back. And they're not tagged, meaning they're not on the shelf of the grocery store. They're sitting back in a storage box, forgotten in the back corner of the storage room. So without being able to pull leads that don't have certain situational tags, it's difficult. And to go in and do one by one, it's like, and I don't know what your tagging system is here. All right. So this is such a great conversation. Crystal, are you okay with where I'm taking this?
Yeah, no, he's got his check-in tag. So for those ones that have like check-in tags on them, that means he's had enough conversation with them about a timeline of some sort that they're in their own category for his follow-ups. Anyone that doesn't have a check-in tag on them means that he still needs to have deeper conversations with them to really determine how he should be following up with them. So if you do like the tag and you say none as to those check-in tags, we know that so there's 1 month, 1 week, 2 week, there's quarterly, so all of those check-ins, and then there's a quarterly one too. There you go. Yeah. So everything else is basically people that he just hasn't categorized.
All right, so I'll put a couple of them in here. Bingo. Okay. Now you all saw this like firsthand, what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So Rose, I don't know how Rose got moved to make contact if it's a bad phone number.
Because he probably, I don't know, you'd have to look at his call notes to see how that happened.
Exactly. Because that's like, I'm like, oh, you can't talk to somebody if it's a bad phone number. Like, you're gonna talk to
she may have emailed me back. That could trigger that too.
That's true. Very, very true. And yeah, that's a struggle. And that's another thing that happens in here. If they call you back or text you back, they're going to move to make contact, and then they get lost because they're not tagged. They're not. So this, in my mind, this is where when someone comes to me and say, Bev, where do I start in my dashboard? I'm like, start right here. Because there's either never been a conversation, but they texted back or called back, and you didn't answer the phone, and you may not have responded to text, or you were out and it just didn't happen. There may very well be notes on every single one of these leads, but this is where your increase of appointment setting is going to rise to the top. And this is where your amount of conversations is going to rise to the top. So this is where I get the most amount of people answering their phone, are people that are in make contact because there was some type of previous contact made previously. I said previous twice. I was like, that didn't even make sense. So let's just kind of click through here and see what we've got. Oh, I can't see notes.
No, there's no, like, he uses his dialer and stuff. So you could always put, if you wanted to pull up leads that he hasn't even spoke to, you can do like call result is not in talk to lead. And then we know he's never actually talked to the person before. Like he may have.
These are just notes, right?
Yeah, they're system notes, but sometimes they're, they're blurred because of the fact that if he's putting notes with regard to their information and their situation or their name or whatever, right? So it's all
just my agent locator was slow. I was just in my client's site before I jumped on here, and it was slow. Do any of these, like, does cash sound or look familiar to you at all?
No.
Okay. All right, here's what I'm gonna do right quick. How do I get rid of the blur field?
You have to go to the blur thing on the left and then click on the one that you already have selected.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so here's the notes. There's nothing left by you. There was a call made on, let me just go back to the beginning. So yeah, so basically what we were probably seeing before is it says that the SMS was set, it moved the lead to contacted, the SMS was valid. So you did try calling December 4th, and it looks like he called you back. And it was 23 seconds. So he probably got your voicemail and no conversation has been had. Let's see what we can make happen. I'll share my screen.
Is there anything in his SMSs though that you can fall back on?
Call you later. Sure, sounds good. So the lead said, can I call you later?
Hello?
Hey, Cash.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Hey, this is Beverly. Just on a quick check-in. You had been online looking at some townhomes in the Vaughan area. I'm just wondering if you had plans or what you might be looking for.
Say that again, sir?
You were online looking at some homes in the Vaughan area. You're looking at townhomes, it looks like. And just wondering what you might be looking for.
What I was looking for? I was just looking for places in the beautiful area, Vaughan, either townhouse or semi-detached.
And what is your situation right now? Or do you own? Do you rent?
Rented.
And are you in a lease term or are you month to month?
Month to month.
When are you looking to maybe make something happen on a home purchase?
Maybe in the next few months or so. If it's something that's a good deal, then right away.
So when you say a good deal, what exactly is a good deal for you as far as price point? What do you, what's a good
price, how it looks. Pretty much.
I don't know how many great deals are out there right now. That's why I asked, because I want to be on the same page. What price point are you looking at, Cash?
I had anywhere from $650 to $750-ish.
Okay. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms?
Say again?
How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms?
Either 3 and 3 or 2 and 2 or 2 and 3. Either one's fine.
Okay. Perfecto. Perfecto. So as far as financing, is it going to be a cash purchase or are you going to be looking at getting financing?
Looking to get financing. I actually have a mortgage broker that's looking at a few things now. I'm waiting for them to get back to me.
Perfect. So that was going to be my question, because really the most important thing is making sure that you know and understand what your monthly payment is going to be in a certain price range, so that we don't kind of perfect. All right. So I just want to clarify a little bit more, like a good deal in regards to it. Is this move a have to move, or is it just kind of a want to move?
Want to.
Want to.
Yeah.
All righty. So, and you mentioned another area. You said Vaughan, and where else?
Maple, or anywhere like in the east. Like I'm open to those places as well,
okay.
But not too deep east.
Okay.
Like around before the DVP.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I work with Igor, and you probably got some emails from him already. I'm going to let him know that we spoke. Have you talked with anybody about what this process looks like as far as buying a home?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
I think more information is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, it's one of those things, you're getting ready to take on a big investment. And, the more we understand exactly what your wants and needs are, the better that we can be of service, right? And help you find exactly what you're looking for, because our job is to save you the most amount of money that we can.
Yeah.
So what I will do, I will let Igor know that we spoke, and I will have him get in touch with you. Cash, is there a better time? Like, what's your work schedule? When's the best time for him to reach out?
I'm actually in the middle of work right now. I was gonna ask you if you could probably stop me maybe after 5 or so.
Absolutely. I'll have him give you a holler later today, okay?
Okay.
Thanks so much, Cash. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So out of 100 leads, you could call one and get gold.
What?
You know, just saying. I did not plan this, I promise.
Yeah, it's luck of the draw, really. One way that you can look about it is when you're looking at like appointments, is like every 10 conversations you have, one should lead to some level of appointment, whether it's another call to really go over their situation or they're ready to go and move to the next step. But it kind of carries over as well. So if you call and had 10 conversations today, and let's say no one, you were able to do that, you might call, you know, and have 10 conversations tomorrow, and 3 of them you managed to book to another a follow-up, you know, actual conversation meeting versus and or like in-person meeting, that sort of thing. So it is really the luck of the draw. You never know who you're going to get when you are calling and what their situation is.
And I'm going to be straight up honest with you, Cash, or Cash, I'm like looking at the lead's name, Igor. There are times that I sit here and I'm like, oh my Jesus, I'm ready to pick up my eyeballs, because I'll just dial through like ring, 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 hang up on. No, I'm not interested. Why are you calling me? I'm like, oh my gosh, like just make it stop. And then bam. It's sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And honestly, nothing changes when we're having success or not having success. We're still doing the same thing. We're still going through all the motions. And it's understanding that sometimes we're going to hit a home run and sometimes we're going to strike out. But what matters is getting up to the plate. Because we can never hit a home run if we don't go to the plate. And I think that that's sometimes so hard for us to self-talk ourselves into sitting down and making phone calls if we had in our minds a bad experience yesterday. Because we're like, oh, nobody freaking answered the phone. You know what? I got 15 minutes. I'm just going to go do something else because nobody's going to answer the phone anyway, right? We self-talk ourselves out of why we shouldn't do it. And when we create those habits of consistency of, I'm just going to jump in here for 15 minutes today. I'm just going to jump in here for 15 minutes today. And, you know, so many coaching programs, like 2 hours of prospecting a day. Okay. That can lead to burnout. It really all depends upon, you know, agents that I coach, they don't want to spend 2 hours a day in their dashboard. And I don't blame them. The only reason I do is because I'm sick. Like I got this problem that I'm addicted to calling leads. And it's a science experiment for me. I just got to figure out like, where's the goal? Where am I going to find it? And if I'm in someone's dashboard, I just had a consultation with one of my clients the other day. I said, I'm not getting enough gold. I said, I'm frustrated. I don't know what's going on. Now, mind you, they had a mass import of a bunch of leads that never had any updated searches turned on. So I'm literally shooting fish in a barrel. But I had to relay to them to let them know that I'm not able to do this in their site because there's nothing to look at. Mm-hmm. Everybody's in the same stage. Everybody does not have any saved searches on, but when you have something to look at, think about the mindset of the lead, right? If they're actively engaged and they're actively opening emails and looking at properties, that's a higher priority, especially if they're uncontacted and they didn't fall in your filters. So I'm going to suggest us saving this filter is that I call this the danger filter, because this is where all of your contacted leads are going to fall into that you haven't tagged, that have called you back, that have texted you back, that you haven't put in the proper places. Because even if they text you back, if we don't have enough information, they still should be and try to contact. Because I don't move anybody in to make contact from a text until I know their exact situation. Even if they say they have an agent, I still want to talk to them to confirm what they mean by having an agent. I don't bring it to their attention when I call them, but I am going to go through the same motions like I did with this gentleman, just to see what they end up saying, because usually they don't put 2 and 2 together, that the text message, they text messaged me 2 days ago and I'm calling them today. They don't put it together because they're in multiple other dashboards. Are you going to remember Cash? Can I move on from him?
Yeah. Sorry. So you would tag him now?
So for
Like,
him,
what's your next step? Like, I know I have to call him this evening
yes,
after 5, right? So,
that's where the task goes into play.
and how would you handle that conversation? Like,
Tonight
what
when you
would you
call him
suggest?
back, yeah, I'd
Mhm.
say, hey, Cash, I heard you talked to Beverly today, and I'm just really excited to talk to you about, so tell me more about this good deal that you're looking for. Tell me what a good deal is, because he probably has no idea what a good deal is. That's the mentality that people have of, all right, I'm going to go and get 5%. Like, everybody thinks they can negotiate, right? So
Yeah.
for you, because what you got to find out is, and did you hear me ask him, is this a want to or a have to?
I did, yeah. No, it's a thing that comes up all the time, actually. The whole good deal thing, and it's I always struggled with, like, how do you teach these people that there's no such thing as a good deal in our market?
But
The,
there could be a such thing depending on what their perception of a good deal is.
right. Okay. So can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So people just say that because that's what their parents taught them. Like, I look back at my dad. My dad thinks he can still negotiate used car salesmen. Those days are so long gone, right? This is the internet price. This is the price. I can maybe take $200 off, right? I mean, it just, those days are long gone.
Yeah.
But those stories have been told to their children, and their children believe that. So the first inclination is, I'm going to get a deal. They don't even know what they're saying. So when I asked him, is this a want to or a have to? That's going to gauge his urgency.
Right.
Because I'm not wasting my time with somebody that just wants a deal. I am not that kind of agent. So let's talk about a deal. Let's talk about what you want your monthly payment to be. And if I find you that property, what would prevent you from buying it? What is the number one thing that would prevent you from moving forward on a home? Because if it's just a want, those are the buyers. How long have you been in real estate, Igor?
It's been about like 5+ years.
Okay, so you've had the buyers.
I've had enough of those buyers before, yeah.
That have had buyer's remorse, and they're like, I got the contract on, now get me out of it. I don't want to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where finding out is it's a have to or a want to, because if their pain isn't great enough, there's a chance that they're going to back out. Now, he is in a lease month to month. And what do we know about renting month to month? What usually happens to rent when you're month to month?
You got to give them notice.
But it goes up, right? Usually your rent is higher potentially when you're month to month.
Right.
So the reality is, if you don't buy, I always like to play the devil's advocate. If you don't buy a house within the next 4 or 5 months, are you just going to stay where you are? Yeah. How much are you paying a month? And let's say the price point he's looking within, how much do you think he's paying per month? $2,000 for rent?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you, Cash, you're paying someone else's mortgage and you're putting money in someone else's pocket, $2,000 a month. Every month that goes by, you're contributing to his wealth instead of your own wealth. So you may want a deal, but at the end of the day, you're losing by renting every month.
His deal right now is also the extremely low interest rates on the mortgage. That's where he's getting the biggest deal.
100%.
If he waits, hoping that the market might drop, his interest rates are likely going to go up.
Yes.
So he's no longer getting a deal, right? So that's where you got to just kind of step in and educate them a little bit.
And
Mhm.
it's up to you to have those conversations with them, because those are things they're not thinking about. All
Mhm.
he's thinking is, I'm looking at homes in Vaughan and the other areas that he mentioned, and I want a good deal. He's not thinking about the money he's putting in his landlord's pocket. He's not thinking about, like Crystal said, the low interest rates. Now, and everything's all relative. If he's waiting for the market to go down, the only thing that's really going to drive the market down is interest rates going up.
Right.
I would rather buy a higher market, lower interest rate than lower price, higher interest rate. But it's getting into people's minds and finding out what's important to them. But I want to be like, hey, I Beverly said that she had a great conversation with you, Cash, and I'm just really excited about helping you find your home. Now, she had mentioned that you're looking for a deal. So let's talk about exactly, because you can get a little bit more specific with his wants and needs as far as getting into like, oh, there's 5 homes on the market right now in Vaughan, or there, you know what I mean? It's like you can get really specific with him and get his search criteria really set up for him.
Mhm.
And then ask him where he's at with the mortgage lender as far as, I can't remember, my brain's failing me already. Was he 3 to 4 months out?
He said basically
few-
anytime.
Yeah,
If he
he's
finds
like
a
within the
deal.
next few
As
months.
soon as he finds a good deal. There you go.
Mhm.
There you
Yeah,
go.
like he's pre-approved and he's renting, so he's basically ready to go.
Well, I don't know if he's 100% pre-approved. He'd say he had talked to a lender and he's looking at some things.
Right. No, yeah, you're right. This one, yeah, he said that he's waiting
Yeah.
to hear back from him.
But in my opinion, depending on what those things are, he would be worth just meeting, having a conversation, and maybe looking at a couple of properties just to get it. Because what's really important right now is I'm going to send you over some properties. Set up the next phone conversation and say, I want to go over the homes that you're looking at so that I know what you do not like and what you do like. Because right now it's a matter of process of eliminating. Oh, so you have to have a garage. Oh, so you have to have an end unit. That's narrowing your searches down, right? I only showed, my clients only looked at 3 to 5 properties max. We had everything narrowed down from everything we were looking at online.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the process right now. Let me pull what is on the market right now within your price range. And I need you to tell me what you like and you don't like about these properties. And I've literally done it. You can be on the phone with them, email them to them and go through it live time. You can even Zoom and go through the properties live time. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, and let's narrow this down. Let's look for the great deal. Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Fantastic.
We did have one question in here. I did type the answer, but just so that everyone is also aware that's on here, it was whether or not the call is made after checking the do not call registry. That in these scenarios aren't required because the leads that sign up on your website are accepting your terms of use and privacy policy, which clearly indicate that they agree to be contacted by phone and email by registering.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about those call lists and getting reported or anything like that.
Well, in the call lists, even if your calling expires and FSBOs and yada yada, it's still, all the call lists aren't completely updated. So when I would call, they're like, I'm on the do not call list. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You're not on my list. What's your email address so I can add you to it? And you'll get it. I promise you'll get their email address.
That's smooth.
I promise you will get it. Because they're not even, they want off that list so bad that you get the email address.
I think the do not call lists are silly anyway.
Yeah.
Only because
the
fines go to the government, not the person who was bothered by the call, which I think is bogus. I'm like, no, I feel like if I'm on a do not call list and you call me, I should get part of that fine because they violated my request.
There you go.
I don't know why the government gets all this money. Like they weren't harmed in any way, shape, or form. Anyway. That's my
So,
thought.
and a tip that I would do at this point too, is I would put Cash's number in your phone. Because a big piece of why I failed so horribly at follow-ups is they would be in my head that I knew I had to follow up. And I would have time in my car, I would have time when I'm out, but I didn't know where their number was. And it was, in my world, it was stuck on a Post-it note somewhere on my desk.
Mhm.
So as easy as it is now to pop numbers into your phone, I would pop him in your phone so that you had it on the fly. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
always great to call out of the system because it tracks and it records, but I like to eliminate excuses before it's an excuse.
right.
I'm going to go back to the main page. Yes. I'm going to challenge everybody listening to create their own danger filter. Because there's 240 in here. And just looking at this first page, there's nothing going on. Now there's a tag there already bought. So that I didn't pull that tag out. So he's fine, right? I don't have to open up the lead to see what's going on. I know he already bought. But every single one of these, now are any of these looking familiar to you, Igor?
Give me one sec. No, not really.
Yep. So in order to save time, I love that this happened, by the way. Why these leads get lost is there's no task telling us to call them back again. And they're not falling in our try to contact call filters. And they have been active in the last 30 days. So we have to open up every single one and look at notes to see why they're here. But I don't have to with that one because he's tagged, right? So that's the whole premise of every single lead in your contacted stage has to have a task or a situation tag. And that way you don't have to worry about any lead getting left behind because you can sort and filter your entire dashboard based on every tag. And then you can work those particular groups. But right now, I can't just throw 20, I could throw 25 people on the dialer. I just have to watch the notes on every one. I'm gonna be a little slower than I would be if they were in try to contact, right? And I have to be keen with where my headspace is because every conversation is gonna change based on what the past conversation was. I like to go, okay, you already bought? Now I know I'm calling everybody that already bought. Not that I ever call those, but now I'm calling everybody bought. Like I know where my headspace is. I know what I'm going to be saying to them on the phone. I know what my goal is on the conversation. And that's why I group in tags. Because if I pull up a tag, like I was just calling the other day on hold because we had so many people all spring and summer. I'm on hold because of COVID. I'm on hold. So now I'm like, all right, COVID's the new norm. Are you still on hold? Because it ain't going away. Like, what's going on? Is it off the plate or are you maybe moving forward next year? What's going on? So my headspace is in the right place. So I know they were all on hold. I don't have to look at, oh, you had an agent. Let me think about that conversation, right? So no, I did not save this for you. Do you want me to save it as personal or company?
Which one? Sorry. Oh, the filter?
Yeah.
Yeah, company, please. Yeah, I would do company.
Are there any other questions, Crystal?
Anita is asking if a lead is super active but doesn't pick up my calls, what do I do? Can I call her at a time I know when she's online?
You know, we're not going to win them all. And there's so many people that I talk to that I just love to look. And I'm like, okay, so we're feeding your guilty pleasure. That's awesome. I'll just make that note. Thank you so much. We can't get hung up on the one lead. And that's why I love my filters, because with the filters, we're not focusing on one lead, we're focusing on 240.
Mm-hmm.
We're focusing on what was in the last, like there was like 52 in that last filter that I pulled. We're focusing on the 52. And what I like to focus on whenever I pull lists like this, so if I was working your dashboard, Igor, what I would do is I would save this danger filter 240, because I know I'm starting with 240 leads. And I like to watch that number drop. I like to see the number I started at 240. Woo, now I'm down to 120. That means I have placed 120 leads where they actually belong. That's making progress. I was in the storage room taking the product out and putting it on the grocery shelves so I could actually sell it. And now, not only do I have empty space in the storage room, I now have supply that people can actually purchase because they see it, it's there, it's tangible. And that's exactly like the leads are. So every time we put it, so based on this criteria, every time I put a tag on here, or I move somebody back to try to contact, this number is going to drop. Like, yes, yes, yes. This list should be at 0. Because if you add a task, like we added, so our buddy, what was his name? Cash. Our buddy Cash is out of here. We were at 241. He's out of here. And in my mind, this one needs to go back to try to contact it. That's just my OCD. It doesn't need to, but all my bad phone numbers are always try to contact. So as you're eliminating, we're not focusing on the one. As I always said, if I could make lead calling like Candy Crush, we could get addicted to it. I addicted myself to it, but it's helping other people see that. Yeah. Because yeah, it's, you do have a lot of leads. I mean, I have leads in some dashboards that are over 2,000 days old, and they've logged in 540 times and looked at 2,000 homes. Never talked to them, but they're still there. They're still looking.
I look at a lot of houses online, so y'all know, like a lot. If anyone calls me, it's like, I'm not answering because I have no intentions of moving anytime soon. But I just
even if we would talk to you, Crystal, what would you say? I see you're online looking at homes. What would you say?
Well, I am thinking for the future, but just not now.
For future plans, right? 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years?
1 year.
1 year. See, that in my mind is a valid lead. I'm going to monitor. I'm going to monitor you. I'm going to confirm your email address. I'm going to ask you how often you want to stay updated in the market, if at all. And I'm just going to check in every 3 or 4 months. Just to say hey.
Just to say hi.
Because you already paid for the lead. And so and I love that question when people say, I really don't have any plans. Well, if you were to make a move, is it 1, 2, or 5 years? I had one lady go, oh, 10. I was like, okay, you're really not serious. Like, hello, see ya. Whoop. No plan.
She's also like, I have no plans of moving. Do not call me ever again.
Yeah. But it's funny, like people say they have no plans or they're just looking. And then I get people to say, even that Cash said, he goes, oh, I'm just looking. And I'm like, well, how soon? Oh, the next 3 or 4 months. It's like, well, you're really kind of looking. Or he said, well, whenever you can find a good deal, whatever it is. But it's really funny. Like people think, I want to go look at a house today, so I'm going to call you today. They don't realize that there's kind of a process that goes in place. Because I'll talk to people right now, they're like, oh, I'm buying next year. And I said, okay, so that's in like 3 weeks. Would that be spring, summer, or fall next year? Spring. Awesome. That's like 3 months away. So what can I do in the meantime? When would you like to be in your home? April. Awesome. So why don't I call you in February? I'll call you the 1st of February and check in with you and kind of see where you're at that time. And we can kind of get the process started. Okay. Yeah, it's bizarre what people will say. Oh, I'm just looking, I'm a ways out. When are you looking to buy? Yeah, March.
A lot of, it's like a quick brush way, like to get you guys off the phone really as well, right? To just keep digging. That's all you can do is just keep digging, because Yeah, those just looking people. I've had agents that they weren't even going to call, and it was an active investor, but she was just looking. I'm just looking, but she had full intentions of making a move, right? So it was, or not making a move, but acquiring an investment. So that agent was just totally not even going to call that lead, and I said, no, you need to call that lead. Yeah. And then that's how she found out that they were actually an investor. It's like, see, you would have totally missed out on this opportunity had you just left that lead because they were just looking.
Right. It's like when you're at a store and then the salesperson comes up, like, "How can I help you with anything?" No, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
And even though you're there to buy something very specific, it's
Yeah.
just like it's a defense that we would just say it without thinking.
Well, exactly. And if you were then standing in a specific aisle in that store, kind of looking at all the different products, and then they walked up to you, your response to them would probably be different, because now you're like, which one do I get? Do I get this one or do I get that one? Right. So it's a little bit more catered and targeting your, how you're working with your leads. And that's the same with you're doing like mass emails. In some cases, if your marketing is catered towards specific audiences, the better the response rate you guys are going to get. So if you're sending first-time buyers stuff about, preparing your house for sale, well, they don't have a house to sell. They could care less about that, right? Whereas if you sent the first-time buyers information relevant to their current situation, they're going to be more responsive to that. So it's, and that's where the tags also help you pull up those specific audiences for you guys to reach out to.
Yep. And I'm going to make one comment while we have a little bit of time in regards to the check-in tags. Make sure you are removing them after you need to.
Yeah, that's something that we talked about.
Because
you have to move them through.
That list will get really, really long and defeat the purpose of, because I've noticed through the years, I've asked agents, so why do you put that tag? I have one team that does high priority, or no, it's not high priority. It's like great intention or something like that. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I'm like, you never even talked to them. Like, great intention for what? Like, answer the phone? But it makes the agent feel good because they did something. Like, oh, I put a tag on them. I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? But we never work the tags, like, because they are static. They don't move. Like, we have to move them. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of filters, because it moves leads in and out. So the more tagging that we do, the less automated it is, and the more we're depending on people. So we have to make sure that we are removing the tags when that next priority, when it changes.
Yeah.
So we keep a clean dashboard.
That's part of the process, remember. And those filters, those follow-up filters, are made in a way so that if they forget, they change the tag but forget to remove the previous one, it'll still pull up in the correct one anyway. Right. So it's just like it's not foolproof, but it does have
no
that.
system ever is. No system ever. I mean, the system is always only as good as the person working it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
it's having that checklist and knowing what to do. And there's no right way or wrong way to work a dashboard. It's just freaking work it. And it's knowing where to catch the mistakes, because I still make mistakes. I still forget to put tags on people. I still forget to, bad phone number. I still forget things. So it does happen. But when you have your systems in place, when something's not right. When something's in the wrong space.
Yeah. And
that's where, so I'm going to challenge you, Igor, to go through this danger filter. You're going to find some gold. I promise you. I absolutely 100% promise you. So it's already saved as danger filter.
Nice. Appreciate that.
Really need to go. And don't be afraid of the follow-up. Here's the best advice I could leave you with. When I was calling my own leads, I was so attached to the outcome because it was my paycheck. It was my closing. It was my settlement, right? I had goals I had to meet. I had so many settlements in a month. I was attached to that conversation. I was attached to that outcome. When I started calling leads for a different reason, that game changed because I wasn't as attached to the outcome. So it changed the dynamic of the process, and it made the process better because I wasn't attached to the outcome. And I could have a better conversation because I wasn't as forceful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you're calling these people back, our job is genuinely to find out where they are in the process and how can we be of best service. And when I started telling them things and started asking questions, what can I be doing for you in the meantime? What's the best information that I could get over to you that would help you while you're in the stages of just looking at the market and getting educated? Ask them what's most important to them, because what's important for us to give them may not be important to them. And when would be a good time for me to follow back up with you? So if you're not, looking to buy, I had a conversation before we got on here, and she's like, we're on hold right now. And she was 6 months ago looking, and she goes, we're still on hold. She goes, we're probably next year. And I said, is that spring, summer, or fall? And she goes, honestly, I'm not sure because there's a lot of different dynamics. And I said, that's fine. I said, what's the most important thing that we can be doing for you? And she's like, I really don't know. I said, okay, I've confirmed your email address. I said, how is once a month just emails right now? I'll send an email out right now, and then I'll send another one out next month. If I follow up with you in March, would that work? Yes. Set the March task, follow up in March. The leads are free now at this point because you've already paid for it. Hope that's helpful.
Got it. Yes, absolutely. A lot of value.
Good. Don't be afraid to
Thanks,
follow
Beverly.
up. You're so, well, thank you. I'm so glad that you volunteered. I'm so glad that we were able to, so I'm dying now. You got to let me know what happens to cash tonight.
Yeah, I had Crystal call me yesterday, and then she brings it up. I'm like, okay, I guess. Why
He
not?
was kind of like a little on the cautionary side.
I'm like, I'm in the spotlight. I hope I
know,
didn't tag.
it was like the worst case scenario is like you got a bunch of leads called, so you didn't have to. You're like, okay.
Yeah, worst case. Hey, you got a great lead right now. 650, 750. That's not a bad price point in my neck of the woods.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, that's the thing. Like Toronto, our values are so high that it's like you just need
That's
to
why
get
I
a
say
few.
my neck of the woods.
Beverly, so are you like, this is a service you provide? Like you qualify leads?
We do.
Okay.
We have all levels. Yeah.
Okay. I get like, can we talk about this here, or should I just like contact you after?
Shoot me are you friends with me on Facebook?
I don't think so, no.
Because I have 2 Facebook pages. I have one that's my personal, and then I have another one you'll see Inside Out Coaching. That's Beverly Ruffner. Just go ahead and friend me. And then everybody can always go to fixyourcrm.com. And I have some freebies that you can take away from the fixyourcrm.com. I have my tag list, which you probably all already have. And then I have my PowerPoint on organizing your dashboard.
Beverly, on a side note, as of right now, are you able to email me your bad number campaign?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's in a PowerPoint, so it's all.
Because I know, so I know a lot of people keep asking about it.
Yep.
That's all.
I need to just drop it in the Fix Your CRM and give that out too. But yes, we can give that. Yes.
Perfect.
And do you only work with realtors? Like that's your focus, or like other types of businesses as well?
Yeah, just real estate.
Okay. Are you a realtor yourself?
I was. Yes.
What happened?
I started 2005. I stepped out. I was training for another technology company. I was training for them, and then I left there and started my own business, training ISAs, training agents, organizing dashboards. This is what I do.
Very cool.
Yes. All right,
Awesome.
everybody. No more questions? We good?
The only thing I was saying is, how do you see the alternate trub option matrix helps Agent Locator system or make some of its functionalities overlapping or redundant? I have no idea what that means, Moeen.
I don't either.
So
It's
there
yeah,
is no
it's
alternate. Yeah.
it's not, yeah, there's no overlapping of any sort, I would say. It's just they just introduced like a different CRM system at our board.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
what he's referring to. But no, sorry, Maureen, I don't think he's gonna help.
Well, at least somebody understood that.
Yeah.
Not
Because we're
know
both obviously both from Toronto.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. If there's a change in this in anything to do with the tribe, there would be no overlapping. You're always set up with one feed with our system. You're never on multiple feeds at once. Just so you guys are aware.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for hopping on. Thanks, Igor,
Thank
for taking the
you.
plunge. And we'll see you next week, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a
Perfect.
wonderful rest of your day and week.
You as well. Thanks,
Thanks.
Beverly.
You too, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.